Thank you. I have to kind of wake you up before we get started. I'm so excited that I had time to visit with several of you before we got started. Thank you for being open with me and talking. It was wonderful. I'm just remembering I don't have my mic on. So let me take a second to do that. Oh, Linda, would you turn that little thing that looks like this over on the side? Mm-hmm. Is there an on-off switch on it?
Not that I see.
All right, well, we're going to get started. So
Yeah.
now the people watching us online can hear me. They fuss at me when I don't use my mic. So what I want you to do first is if any of you has been impacted by cancer, if you or someone close to you has had cancer, I want you to sit down. My dad too. That's why I'm sitting there. So that took out most of us, didn't it? About 1 in 3 people will develop cancer if the current rates continue. How about heart disease? Sit down if you or someone close to you has been affected by heart disease. Thank you. Or depression, if you or someone close to you. Or just things that just interfere with your life on a daily basis. That's going to cover you after, I know you and I talked about that a little bit earlier. Thank you. You can have a seat. Thanks. I appreciate you guys participating. Thank you for that. And when the majority of the audience has to sit down because we've been affected by cancer, at what point do we say, oh my goodness, enough is enough? Right? It's not okay. When I was a kid, and most of us, I think, just from looking at you, most of us are in the same generation. How many children had cancer? No, it was unheard of, wasn't it? People in our country are getting sicker and sicker. Think about diseases that are common now that we didn't even hear of when we were kids. People are getting sicker and sicker at younger and younger ages. And it is outrageous. And it makes me fighting mad because there is another way. There is an option. And I'm so proud of every one of you for being here tonight because I assume that you believe that you can get better, right? How many of you believes you can get better? Obviously you do, you were going to be here, right? You're here because you have hope that you can get better. Good for you. I'm proud of you for investing your time in yourself tonight. Because would you agree that your health, now your health affects everything in your life, right? Would you agree then that your health is your greatest asset?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Especially once you lose it. Then you value it twice as much, right? So tonight, I'm going to share with you the things that you and I talked about before we got started, about what you guys are looking for, solutions to your problem. We're going to talk about that. You're going to hear things tonight that you have never heard before. Almost everyone who comes to our talk says that they're so glad they came because they learned things. And that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for information. And yet, when does that information have the power to change your life? When you use it, exactly. Have you ever been to a talk like this or invested in something that you didn't use? I want you to raise your hand. A gym membership. Notice I am raising my hand because I have a membership to this gym and I work out at home. So this gym membership, all those weights, that's not doing me any good, is it? So in order to benefit from something, we actually have to use it. So at the end of the night tonight, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to take the next step with us so that you can apply the knowledge that you're gaining tonight. Is that fair? Is that okay with everybody? You'll just have an opportunity to move forward with us, okay? So very often when I'm in a class like you are tonight, I wonder, what gives that person the right to be teaching me? Do any of you word detox, my knowledge is very, very, very deep. It's narrow, but it's very, very deep. But here's what gives me the authority to be in front of you tonight, is my victory over problems in my family. The Africans have a saying that in order to have authority over something, you have to have had victory over it. Doesn't that make sense, right? And I'm going to ask you a lot of questions tonight that I want you to participate. Yes, nod your head. I love to see you nodding your head, raise your hand. Just speak the answer just like you. Speak the answer out loud. I love that participation because that's the only way you're going to really benefit from it. Plus, I had somebody once who fell asleep. And so I want you to stay awake. How many of you are tired at the end of the night? And you've been at work all day and you're tired. Only a few of you. The rest of you have plenty of energy? Okay, so how many of you are tired at the end of the night? I'm going to keep you participating and keep you awake and keep you involved, and you're going to get a lot more out of it. So may I tell you my story and what happened with my family? Our son came to us, our oldest son, when he was junior in high school, and told us that he felt depressed. How many of you have dealt with that with someone close to you, with depression? Thank you for sharing. I felt like the rug had just been yanked out from under me, like someone had stolen the oxygen out of the room. I thought that depression was an emotional problem. And I couldn't imagine why that would happen to my son. So I'm going to take that long story and make it really short. I fought for my son's life. And I grew up on a ranch. Has any of you ever seen a Mad Mama cow? Yeah, okay, yeah, I can tell by the look on your face. I can tell who has ever seen that. That's what I was. I was that Mad Mama cow. I was fighting for my son's life. So something like that happens, and where do you go to get help? You go to the doctor, and the doctor does what? Gives you medication. How many of you are on medication that doesn't help? Yes. How many of you have a long list of symptoms, and you go to the doctor and you say, I think I have this problem, and he says, no, your blood test is normal. How many of that, if that happens to you, right? So at that point, we've covered half the room. You're on medication and it doesn't help, or you're not on medication and it doesn't help, right? So by definition, the medication is not solving the problem. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to keep taking it the rest of your life. So he felt a little better. And we went back to the doctor, and what did the doctor do? Increased his medication. And he felt a little better, and the whole time I'm this Mad Mama cow saying, why? That is not your doctor's job, is it? What is his job? He has two tools. He can give you medication, or he can cut out organs, right? He has two tools, medication and surgery. He has to do that legally. That is standard of care. He has to do that, right? He has to do his job. If you want results different from that, where do you have to go? Someplace alternative, someplace different. And that's where we are. So I went to, our chiropractor was our natural health care practitioner when my son got sick. And so I was screaming, why is my son sick? This makes no sense to me, and the doctor can't tell me why. And our chiropractor said, I think there's a toxicity problem somewhere in your house or something, in your genetics, in your body, somewhere there's toxins. This was about 10 or 12 years ago. He had been studying cellular toxicity. We did a test that I will show you tonight, and it told us that we had toxic metals that my son had never been exposed to. And we had biotoxins, which most often is mold. My kids call me a bloodhound. I can smell everything. I never smelled the mold in our house, and I never saw it. Mold indoors is always toxic to everybody all the time. Most of the time it's hidden in the wall or under the flooring, so you can't see it and you can't smell it. It's releasing toxin into the air, making your body sick. So I started working with my chiropractor because how many of you know a specialist to detoxify mold from your body? Anybody? I didn't know one. We found out we had toxic mercury, we had toxic lead. Did you know someone who specializes in cellular detoxification? I didn't either. So I had to learn how to do it for myself, for my children. All of our children were sick. They all had different symptoms. My husband and I were headed down that road because do you know by the time a condition is diagnosed, especially an autoimmune condition, you've probably had it 10 or 20 years. Who knew that? Did some of you already know that? A lot of times in a class like this, I find people who have done a lot of research for themselves. They've been on Dr. Google, right? They've been saying, because what people have given them, what they've tried, hasn't been working, so they keep on looking for solutions. So I'm glad that you guys have already heard of some of this. So I became the cellular detoxification specialist to save my family. And at that point, I had a choice. I could keep that information to myself, or I could what? I could share it. And that's why I'm here tonight. Not to change my life, because I've already saved my life. But I'm here tonight so that you can have the opportunity to save your life. I can't fix you. I can teach you. Then who has to do the work to get better? You have to do the work, which means you have to want it. So I told you at the end of the night I'm going to make an offer to you. I'm going to offer a one-on-one appointment. And we are really picky about who we accept into our program. Our program is challenging. So I've got bad news. That was not the bad news. The bad news is I don't have a quick fix. And I don't have a magic pill. And who would love to get better tomorrow? I hope every arm, so let's be sure your arms work. Who would like to get better tomorrow? Every arm should, thank you, every arm should go up. Of course you want to get better tomorrow, that's perfectly logical. And yet intellectually you know, a quick fix, a magic pill, it's probably not going to work. However, what I have is a program that works every single time. Every time. I know that's bold. You're sitting there thinking, really? Every time? Yeah, every single time. When our clients do what we teach them to do, they get better every time. That's one of the reasons I'm really picky about who I accept into our program and who I will agree to work with, because that allows me to know that they're completely committed, they're going to do what I teach them, they're going to do it long enough to get the results they deserve. So our program works every single time, and I will share some stories with you tonight about how that works. So we started out saying, how many of you have been affected by cancer and heart disease? And I know that you're here because you have these symptoms. You have a thyroid problem, you have an autoimmune problem, diagnosed or not. So if I could tell you something that could help you get better, would you be interested in hearing it? Of course you would, right? You're like, that's why I'm here. Who's here to get that information? Is that why you're here? Perfect. Everybody's raising their hand. Thank you. That was a test. You guys passed the test. Excellent. So we are going to talk about that. I'm going to share with you the 3 things that I discovered as I was saving my family. The 3 things that cause most of the diseases that are affecting Americans today. Does that sound good? Like what you're looking for? You know, America is one of the sickest countries in the world. Who knew that? Did anybody have you read that statistic? Right. We have more degenerative disease than other countries. Now, if that doesn't make you fighting mad, I don't know what will. Because I believe we are designed for health and vitality. What do we expect in our country? What do we expect to happen to us as we age? Yeah, yes. All of those things. That doesn't happen in other countries. Therefore, it proves that you have a choice, right? You can choose to live differently, and then you'll get a different result. So now I want to hear a little bit about what brought you here. I've already been able to speak with some of you before we started. I want to know what symptoms you have. We keep our talks small because that lets me really customize the presentation to specifically meet your needs. So tell me, how many of you have trouble sleeping? Just by show of hands. Thank you. How many of you are, I'm going to ask you a hard one. How many of you are moody and irritable? Please be honest. Thank you. Or your neighbor might be saying, you're moody and irritable. He didn't do that to me, so that's really good. I'm blowing your restraint. Good job. What about hair, skin, and nails? Yeah. How does that make you feel? What? Yeah. Pain. What? Everything? Yes, yes, yes. Someone share with me, could you guys come sit right here? I would love it.
Are you sure? I didn't want to distract with the service there.
I would love it.
All right.
My kids have dogs.
Okay.
One of them was this big. He was like part great thing.
Okay.
So that dog is going to be wonderful. It's not good because that helps me. I like to look at you. I like to look at your face and really participate. I'm here to get to know you.
In the front row, buddy.
Thank you. So if one or two of you would share with me, I want to know what some of your struggles are, what's happening in your life. Let's start there. Thank you. Yes.
I have trouble staying asleep. I can fall asleep 9:30,
Yes.
but then I keep waking up.
So you wake up frequently, you sleep restlessly. Is that it? Or do you wake up and you can't go back to sleep?
Well, I wake up. Sometimes I can go back to sleep. Sometimes I can't.
Okay.
So I usually have to go to the restroom. So.
Yeah, and that's not normal. That's not normal to have to wake up at night and go to the bathroom. Thank you for sharing.
Usually twice.
Oh, that's really frustrating, isn't it? Yeah.
I was going to say, I have every single one of these, and I'm a nurse and a holistic practitioner, and I have sought assistance for every single one of these, and even brought up, I think it's a thyroid issue, and practitioners just dismiss it, you know, kind of try different pills. I got a lot of pills for constipation, and it's just really frustrating to not have solutions.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to ask you.
Chasing things
Frustrating, really frustrating, isn't it? Do you ever feel hopeless? Like, is there really an answer? Because
Yeah.
you've tried so many
And it's been
things.
probably 10 years that I'm like, I swear it's thyroid, and they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like,
I hear that all the time, all the time. Tell me what kinds of things you've done.
I have done everything from a keto diet for the brain fog. I've taken hair and nails thing for the thinning of the hair and the nail issue. Obviously medications for depression and constipation. I have twins. I went through fertility treatment. I've been on anti-anxiety medication for the irritability. CBD oil for pain.
Yes. Yep. Have you tried acupuncture?
Acupuncture.
I'm sure you've tried diets. Keto diet, that's commitment.
Yeah,
You've tried exercise.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like you've been everywhere and done everything?
absolutely.
Yeah.
B12 for the fatigue.
Right? And so here's a big question for you. This is kind of common sense. In order to solve any problem, what do we have to do? Find the root cause. All those things you did, you were probably doing some really good things. We teach keto. We teach a very unique kind of keto diet. And yet, the thing that we're not addressing was identify and remove the cause of the problem, right? That's what we do that's different. Our focus is cellular healing, cellular detoxification, identifying and removing the cause of the problem. That's what we do that's different. And when you do something different, what kind of results are you going to get? Different results, exactly. So, number one, I want you to just know, I want to affirm for you, there is hope. You can get better. And I applaud you for being here. Someone else want to share?
Yeah, so I
Thank
actually
you.
have the answer. I can actually answer yes to your original question because I have glyphosate, heavy metals, mold,
Yep.
and I have chronic pain that won't go away. I take tons and tons and tons of pain
I'm so
medication to keep
sorry.
it from.
I'm sorry. So you're here with him?
Well,
Both of you?
She has thyroid issues.
Okay, so y'all are both here for your own things, together, but for different issues. Thank you for sharing. What kinds of things have you done? All of those things she said.
Well, yeah, I mean, I eat like all natural, very little meat, no dairy or eggs or anything like that. Really low cholesterol intake.
So you've worked a lot on your diet,
Yeah.
and yet you're still hurting all the time. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's annoying.
Very annoying. That's probably a really polite way to say it. I would be stinking mad when you put forth all that effort into something and you don't get the results that
Well,
you
I
deserve.
wasn't actually expecting that to fix.
It's
that.
part of the problem. I mean, part of the solution. You're right, but that's not that didn't cause the problem, did it?
No.
So that is what we specialize in, all of those things you just listed. The mold, the mercury, the lead, all of those things. So, are you ready to hear some of the science? You ready for high school biology class? Yeah, I promise. I'm gonna keep it super simple, super simple. In fact, here's my first problem. Super simple, okay? Super simple. So, thank you for sharing. I appreciate you, all of you for sharing. That helps me to provide better service to you tonight. Okay, I'm not gonna summarize until I teach you. So let's come over here and let me teach you. We are gonna talk about thyroid. We're gonna talk about autoimmune. We'll talk about both. Some of you have multiple autoimmune conditions, but we find the same cause for all of them. And has anybody ever heard that before? The same thing can cause all autoimmune? Great, some of you are super smart. Excellent, thank you for sharing. So first, let's think about thyroid. Which organ releases TSH? Yes, your pituitary, exactly. Your thyroid doesn't produce TSH, your brain does. So your doctor tests your TSH, and what does he do based on that? He gives you medication based on your TSH. There has never been a study proving that if you have a normal TSH, you will have a fully functioning thyroid. So I'm going to say that again. Yeah, that should make you frown. There has never been a study proving if you have normal TSH, you have a fully functioning thyroid, and yet that's the test that they use to change your medication. So TSH comes down to tells your thyroid to release T4. Your thyroid releases T4. T4 goes to the liver. Now at this point, I want everybody to get out a piece of paper and a pen. Do you have a pen? Do you need a pen? Okay. I like participation. Puts it in a different place in the brain. So thank you for getting out some paper and some pen. I hope that at the end of the night, your paper will look exactly like my board does. Not because you're going to go tomorrow and study it. I don't expect you to get it out and study it tomorrow, but it puts it in a different place in your brain. Plus, we agree it's going to keep you awake, right? So T4 comes to the organ, the liver, and converts to T3. T3 is the active hormone. T3 is the what? Active hormone. Excellent. Tell me what things we think the thyroid does. What symptoms would you have if your thyroid wasn't working?
Thinning eyebrows.
Yes. Thinning hair.
Cold.
Cold. So your thyroid controls your thermostat. What else?
And your energy level.
Your energy, right? Your what?
Your skin.
Yes. What else? Weight. It controls your metabolism, doesn't it? What else? Everything. That's exactly the other word that I was looking for. Your moods. Your thyroid controls all of those things. So all of those things are because of T3. T3 is the active hormone. What does the liver do? What's its job? Filtering, detoxing. What kind of burden do you think your liver's under right now? A heavy burden compared to 1 or 2 or 3 generations ago. Has your doctor ever said, you might have a thyroid problem because of your liver? No, that's not what they say. Your liver could be your first problem. That's the first blood test I want to see. Your doctor's running it. So you're just going to give me a copy of your last blood test, and I want to see what your liver numbers are. So that's number 1. It could be a liver problem. Number 2. Now this is really the biology. Which organs, this really is not a trick question. So just tell me, first thing that comes to mind, which organs are made up of cells? Exactly. I have asked people that recently and they couldn't answer the question. So you guys are smart. You might not have known that when you came in here. You're smart. Every organ is made up of cells. Every cell has 2 layers of fat on the outside. Do you want that to be good fat or bad fat? Good fat, exactly. Again, not to be taken for granted. Last month I asked that question and a woman said, no fat. Okay, whoops. So, good fat. Your cell has countless receptors. It's like your cell phone. When you're talking on your cell phone and you drop the call, what is the problem? Reception, exactly. It wasn't your phone. Your phone's not a piece of trash. You lost reception. When your cell gets inflamed, it's like when you cut your finger, it gets what color? Red, and it feels sore. And do you use it? It hurts, right? It hurts. And so you try not to use it, and then in a few days, what? It heals, exactly. When your cell gets inflamed, the hormones can't work. Which hormones do you think that would affect? All of them, exactly. Every single hormone, every single one of them. That's one reason you end up with this long list of symptoms. So you guys have that questionnaire that was in your chair. This questionnaire. Before I forget, I'm going to tell you what this means. I know I'm interrupting myself. I will come back to that because this is my reminder. How many of you filled out? Did some of you fill out the questionnaire? Thank you. Okay. You can, when you fill this out, just write the first thing that comes to mind. Don't overanalyze it. If you write the first thing just on a scale of 0 to 4, 4 is extreme, 0 is never. If your score is over 100, well, if you have to get out your calculator, that's our first clue. There's a problem. If your score is over 100, that is severe. If your score is between 50 to 100, I know you for sure have a toxicity problem, causing cellular inflammation. If your score is less than 50, you're headed that direction. And I just got a new questionnaire from a client that I've worked with for a while. When she first came to me, I very often ask someone, and remember, I don't accept everyone's case. So our appointment is an interview, it's an application. She was applying to be accepted into our program. And I said, Philip, complete this sentence for me. If everything keeps going the way it's going right now, I'm afraid, and she said, I'm afraid I'll die. And she's not afraid of death. She was afraid of missing out on life. She was the primary breadwinner in her home, her blended family with 8 children. She would go to work and come home and go to bed. What kind of quality of life did she have? None, right? There was, and at work she was truly afraid she might lose her job. Her score, when she first came to me, she had, out of this list, she had 52 health problems. 7 of them were severe. Her score was 80. I think she was maybe underestimating, because if I could only go to work and be afraid I couldn't think and come home and go to bed, I think my score might be higher. But the good news is, she now has 5 symptoms. 4 of them are a 1, very mild, rare. 1 of them is a 2. How many of you would like to have that kind of result and share that kind of story? Would that be incredible? That's what we hear all the time. So I wanted to be sure that I covered this. The reason that those questions have such a huge variety is because all of them reflect an organ that is malfunctioning, getting weaker and breaking down because the cells that make up the organ are inflamed. One problem, multiple symptoms. Cellular inflammation. So let's think about thyroid. What if this is your T3 receptor? For some of you, a huge light bulb just went on. Is your medication going to help? Some of you are taking T4, right? What if this is your T4 receptor? How many of you are on medication and you still have symptoms? And now you know why, right? And that was one of the things you came here to find out. When your hormone receptors are blunted, burned out, broken, malfunctioning, your hormones can't work. It doesn't matter what kind of level of hormones you have in your blood, right? It wouldn't matter if the receptor's not working. Does that make sense, right? So, number 2 problem, cellular inflammation. Now this is really important. I want you to write this down. 3 causes of cellular inflammation. Number 1, sugars. Grains, do you know how long it takes grains to turn to sugar in your body? 4 seconds. So, grains are sugar. You know that food pyramid with 12 servings of grains? Oh my goodness, it's outrageous. We do teach our clients a variety of different diets, customized for each person. not the same one the rest of your life. It's a variety. And we will teach you which diet to do when. So, sugars and grains. Number 2, bad fats. And number 3, toxins. So those of you who have been on diets, how many of you said, I've tried a diet and it doesn't help me feel better, it doesn't help me lose weight, right? That, now you know why. Leptin is the hormone that tells your body to burn fat for fuel. If your leptin receptor is burned out, does it matter what kind of diet you go on? No, you're not gonna lose weight because your brain can't get the message. We test our clients' leptin and we find usually the leptin is high through the roof. The body is screaming, burn fat for fuel, but the brain can't get the message. So the problem is the cellular inflammation. So it's like, this is what your cell's supposed to look like, lots and lots and lots of receptors, but you get inflamed and your receptors are all burned out. They can't function. Have you ever felt like you went on a diet and it didn't work and you felt like it was your fault? Like, I must not have worked hard enough. I must not have enough willpower. There must be something wrong with me. It's not your fault. It's not about willpower. Have any of you tried to go on a diet and you had uncontrollable cravings? Does that ever happen? Yeah, thank you for sharing. We eliminate that. In the way we change our clients' diets, the cravings go away. And they always tell us, I'm getting better results now than I've ever had with anything that I've ever done in the past, because the way we do it is very different. So, number 1, liver. Number 2, cellular inflammation. Number 3, I'm going to give you an analogy. So just go with me. I'm going to ask you some stupid questions. Just give me the simple answer. You eat food and it goes where? In your stomach. Good job. What happens in the stomach? Yes, it gets broken down into individual nutrients. Here's what's supposed to happen. In your stomach, the junctions are supposed to be really, really, really tight, so that the only thing that gets through the stomach into the bloodstream are the individual nutrients. And then the bloodstream carries those nutrients all over the body. That's the way it's supposed to work. However, when you have this inflammation in your gut, you get loose junctions, leaky gut, right, loose junctions, and then chunks of food. Obviously, I'm simplifying this. Chunks of food gets through the wall of the gut into the bloodstream. Does the body think that's normal? Are you supposed to have chunks of food in your bloodstream? No. And the body attacks what? Yes, it's attacking the foreign invader. It's attacking that thing that it sees in its beautiful wisdom, that thing it sees that's not supposed to be there. What definition do we commonly hear for autoimmune? The body is attacking itself. I'm going to challenge you to think differently. I think your body's way too smart to attack itself. It's attacking, in this example, what's it attacking? That foreign invader, the chunk of food in the bloodstream because of the leaky gut. We're going to come back to that in a minute. So autoimmune can be the third problem. Autoimmune. Most of the time, by the time someone is diagnosed with autoimmune, they've had it 10 or 20 or 30 years. Our tests right now for autoimmune just are not effective enough. Obviously, if you get a positive test, it's positive. But if you've ever been and you got a negative test, that doesn't mean you don't have autoimmune. Most people do have some level of autoimmune, especially when you have all the symptoms. So, number 4, and here again, I'm going to ask you some stupid questions. When you get the flu, what do you feel like doing? Exactly. Do nothing and sleep. What's the body? Why is the body giving you that feeling? What do you? Exactly. So that your body can spend all its energy healing. That's what's supposed to happen, right? And then in a few days a week, how do you feel? Better. Because the body has healed. And then your energy comes back. Now remember what we said, that the active hormone is T3, and one of the things it controls is energy, right? So you get the flu. The body wants to stop your energy production, so it stops your T3. It gives you a hormone called RT3, reverse T3, that stops your T3. Imagine if your RT3 is high all the time. Yes, all of those symptoms that we've been talking about, you can end up with a long list of symptoms. All those things that T3 is supposed to be doing, it can't do because your RT3 is high. Most Most doctors don't even test RT3. That's the second thing. Actually, maybe that's the third thing. I want to know about your liver. I want to know if you've been tested for autoimmune. If not, I want to test you for that. I want to know what is your RT3 in ratio to your total T3. Those are the things I'm looking for. I'm going to run different tests than your doctor has run, and your doctor's job is to diagnose what? Diagnose disease, dysfunction. So he has a medical range that says if you're outside of this range, I can diagnose this disease, therefore I can give you this medication. Legally, that's what he has to do. My job, what I want for you, is the best. I want optimal function. I have completely different ranges. So we're going to run different tests, and I'm using different ranges than your doctor is using. So those are some of the things that we're going to do differently in our office. So these are the 4 reasons that you might have a thyroid problem that your doctor didn't diagnose, or you might be on medication and your medication's not helping. Who has learned something? Everybody? Great. Excellent. Thank you. So number 1, it could be a hormone receptor problem. Think about diabetes. What if this is your insulin receptor? When you eat, glucose is supposed to go up. Glucose tells insulin to open the door so that the glucose can get into the cell and create ATP energy. If your insulin receptor's burned out, so the door can't get open, what's going to happen to the glucose? It's going to keep on going higher and higher and higher. Is medication going to help that? No. What was the cause of the problem? The cellular inflammation. A+, exactly. If you can't convert T4 to T3 because of your liver, if you have RT3 dominance, if your RT3 is high all the time, I'm going to tell you 3 things that will cause that. So write this down. 3 causes of high RT3. And I'm talking chronic, not just this week because you have the flu. Chronic high RT3. 3 stressors. Number 1, physical stressors, like the flu. Number 2, emotional stressors. Do you ever have an emotional stressor and you just feel tired all the time? That's your body saying, slow down, heal your heart, take care of yourself. Emotional stressors can cause RT3 to go high. And number 3 is chemical stressors. That's my specialty. Chemical stressors can make the RT3 high all the time, so your thyroid hormone can't work. And it doesn't matter if you're taking medication or not. And number 4, autoimmune. So we run different tests and we look for different ranges. Let's think about autoimmune for a minute. Autoimmune, we say autoimmune is like a 3-legged stool. What happens if one leg comes off? Are you going to sit on that stool? No, that would be stupid because you would fall right off, right? So for autoimmune, we have to address 3 different things. Now remember what we said in the beginning. In order to solve any problem, we have to remove the cause. We have to remove the cause of the problem. So the things that cause autoimmune, the 3-legged stool, number 1, the microbiome. And that was the example that I used here with your gut. When you've got inflammation in your gut, it gives you, you've got too many bad bugs in there and not enough good. So your microbiome is out of balance. That's something that we work on extensively in our program. Number 2, the stressors. So we said those 3 stressors, chemical, physical, emotional stressors. Those stressors cause the inflammation that causes the RT3 to go high. And number 3, genetics. Do you think that every person who has the diabetes gene is going to get diabetes? No. Therefore, it's not your genetics, is it? That's part of it. But your genes are like the light switch. What can I do to the light switch? I can turn it off. I can turn it on. I can turn it off. I can turn it on. So let's say that you may have the gene for thyroid autoimmune. And maybe you've been diagnosed. That means your gene is turned on. What we will do is address the things that cause that. We identify the things that are causing the inflammation that causes the gene to get turned on. And then your body is designed to heal. That is the foundation of everything we do. I believe 100% God designed the body to heal. Do you believe that? And who of you believes? Absolutely. When we remove the interference, God designed the body to heal. Autoimmune absolutely can be healed. Tell me what your doctor has said. With your thyroid, how long does he tell you to take thyroid medication? Forever. Therefore, by definition, it's not solving the problem. What does your doctor say about diabetes?
Progressive disease.
Yeah, progressive. Means it's getting worse and worse, right? We see diabetes reversed. What does your doctor say about autoimmune?
You can't cure it.
Exactly. In fact, there's
Nothing you can do.
There's not even a medication approved for it. He's just going to kind of shoot a shot in the dark and throw something at you. God designed the body to heal when we remove the interference. That's what we do that's different. Identify what's causing the inflammation that's causing the dysfunction in the body. That's how we get phenomenal results, because we do something different. Your doctor is telling you the truth from his perspective. He doesn't see different diseases reverse, because he doesn't do that. That's not his specialty. Okay, that's his job is to give you medication. Do you want to keep on, in fact, let me say it this way, if you keep on going there and you keep working with him, what kind of results are you going to keep getting? The same ones. You're not insane, right? You want to get different results, you go someplace different. If you keep on doing the acupuncture and the chiropractor, how many of you are taking natural herbs? You go to the health food store and you say, I want some herbs, I want some natural supplements. Some of you, yeah. If that was going to solve the problem, we would have done it by now, right? We have to remove the thing that's causing the inflammation that causes the dysfunction. So I've kept this really simple because we cannot be here all night. Does this help? Because a lot of you tonight were here looking for information about autoimmune, okay? Did you learn something?
Yeah.
You learned something about autoimmune. Great, thank you. On your paper, I want you to draw a bucket. My son is an artist, I am not. That's my bucket. I've had people who draw the top, you know, they draw the body as 3D, and it has a handle, and it has a spout, and it's just like this really fancy bucket. Okay, just draw a bucket. Everything that you've been exposed to, every toxin that you've been exposed to, even before conception, is filling up your bucket. Toxins are the #1 cause of inflammation, which causes thyroid problems. 3 kinds of toxins. #1, heavy metals. I'm looking for my test. I want to show you my son's metal test. My son was born in 1993. He was never directly exposed to lead. This was his lead. Off the chart. Literally, off the chart. Where do you think he got that from?
Water.
From him. When he was born, there was no lead in the water. We didn't have lead in our pipes. I got lead, it started in my mother's body. My grandfather worked in the shipyards during the war, and so he brought home all of that toxic metal on his clothing. So she was breathing it in the house. And the egg that became you was already in her body. Toxins are carried 4 generations. And I did a really good Facebook post about that late February. I think it was February 27th. I highly recommend you go find that. So my Facebook page, you probably already know, Tammy Stewart, CHC. That's Certified Health Coach. You can look at that and think about, when you think about that there's more diseases now than there were a generation ago, think about the last 4 generations. The generation today, kids today, are the first generation that are not expected to outlive their parents. Isn't that outrageous? That's scary. That breaks my heart. So think about our kids got our toxins and our mothers and our grandmothers and their mothers. So 4 generations of toxins, okay? So we've got these 4 generations. I need 4 blocks, don't I? I need a good visual. So let's take those 4 generations and move back a generation. The 4 generations that you and I were exposed to, that 4th generation, they weren't exposed to very many toxins. They didn't have lead pipes in their houses. They didn't get mercury in their teeth. They didn't have air pollution like we do. So So that's why our kids are getting sicker at young ages, because they're getting a heavier dose of lead from conception. So my grandfather was exposed to toxins, my mother was exposed to toxins. We lived in the lead generation, lead in the gas, in the pipes, in the paint. There was mercury, my mother had mercury in her teeth, I had mercury in my teeth. And all the toxins in the environment. The indoor air is hundreds of times more toxic than the outdoor air. Generationally, you know, when I was a kid, they started focusing on pollution in the air, right? Let's get rid of air pollution. But it's worse indoors. So, this was my son's next lead test. Instead of off the chart, it was in the yellow in the middle of it. Much better, right? I felt good about that. You think I was satisfied with that? No, I want the best for my kids, the best. And for my husband and me. I want to be healthy when I'm 80 or 90 or whenever God calls me home. So at this point, all he has to do is just take some supplements every other week. How easy is it? Who can swallow pills? Tiny little pills. How easy is that? If only that's all you had to do, right? Just swallow a few pills. Everybody can swallow pills. Or we do have liquid. So number one, heavy metals. Number two, biotoxins and co-infections. At one point, we tested all of I'm not going to go into all of my stories. We tested every single person in my family. All 5 of us had Lyme. We had mold. I will show you in a minute the test that we did that told us that we had mold. Number 3, environmental toxins. Do you know that toxins in the environment can make you fat? Who knew that? Yeah. Toxins in the environment can make you fat. We call them obesogens. Endocrine disruptors. Environmental toxins disrupting your hormones. So all of those things that you try, the diet, the exercise, the chiropractic, the medication, the supplements, those aren't going to get rid of the toxins that are disrupting your hormones, right? We have to do cellular detox to get rid of those poisons in your body. Oh, I'm pointing the wrong way. We already talked about that. We already talked about your neurotoxic questionnaire score. In your paperwork, there's a roadmap. It's got colors on it. This is kind of my guideline. Now, in our program, we do have an automated program, but I work with clients one-on-one, custom. So this is our guideline. This is where we start. We start actually with lifestyle changes. Yes, I'm going to teach you different diets. Then we start with nourishing your organs. Who has ever done a liver cleanse? Any kind, like a 21-day cleanse, a blood cleanse, a colon cleanse? A few of you. Only a few of you. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we're going to start, though, nourishing those organs that do the work. We're going to do a prep phase. Open up the detox pathways. If your liver is all clogged up and you try to detoxify, what do you think is going to happen? How are you going to feel?
So you're going to have symptoms.
You're going to feel rotten, aren't you? Because it's poison. We're releasing poison, but they can't get out. So we're going to, number 1, nourish the organs. Number 2, open the detox pathways. Toxins are poison. We have to get rid of them safely. Then we do a body phase, then we do a brain phase. True detoxification that is effective is detox from the cells in the brain. And there is a process that we go through, and it takes time. And our program is like going to college. It's like getting a degree, a university degree. The program is for me to teach you, to give you that knowledge. So you go to college, you get a degree. How long do you have that?
Forever.
Forever, exactly. That's what our program is. For me to teach you and equip you for life. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that powerful? It just gets me so excited. So, we talked about the roadmap. All right, so we have a client application process because our program is challenging, and I want to really be sure that we're the right fit. Because if you don't have the commitment that it takes to do the hard work, and you work with me a month or 2 and you quit, what kind of results are you going to have accomplished? Nothing. And how are you going to feel about that? How are you going to feel about that? You're going to feel bad about that. You're going to feel frustrated, right? Oh, that didn't work either. And at that point, I would have robbed you of hope. just like all those other places that you've been, that you said, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, and at some point you wonder, is anything ever going to work? So I'm really picky. We have an application process. We're going to do, in our first appointment, it's actually a series of 2 appointments, we're going to do 4 tests, and my purpose is to find the cause of the problem. The first test that we're going to do is a urine test that measures cellular inflammation. This test is 50 times more accurate than a blood test at measuring cellular inflammation. That inflammation is making you age faster. It's like rust on a car. It's making you feel like the Tin Man, all rusty on the inside, making you hurt, making you moody, interfering with all of your hormones. We're measuring cellular inflammation. How valuable do you think that is? Priceless, right? Think about, have you ever done a test that really didn't help you feel better? Has any of you done an MRI or a CT scan? Okay? How expensive is that? Really expensive. And it doesn't identify the cause of the problem, does it? This test will identify how much inflammation you have. The next test we're going to do is it's a vision test. It measures inflammation in the optic nerve. This is the test that saved my son's life. I would have paid thousands of dollars for that. He was a senior in high school. Could we put a price tag on his life? We couldn't. That would be offensive, wouldn't it? I would have paid anything to have this test. It's worth thousands of dollars because it will tell me if your problem is metals and environmental toxins or if your problem is biotoxins. If you fail the biotoxin column, it tells me 99.5% sure there is a biotoxin problem. My son failed that test. We hired a mold specialist. They came into our house. They found the mold. We got rid of the mold in our house. If I had not gotten rid of the toxin in the body, what kind of results, what kind of progress would he have made? Very little. You have to get rid of it in the environment, yes, but you also have to get rid of that in the body. You have to heal the cellular inflammation. Heal the cell, get rid of the toxins that cause the inflammation. The third test we do is a body composition analysis. Yes, you're going to get on the scale, I'm sorry. You don't even have to look at how much you weigh. What I'm looking for is, it's going to give me a measure of hydration. If your cells, if you've got bad fats on the outside of your cell, and then the water can't get in, even if you're drinking enough water, you're going to be dehydrated, and this will measure that. If the water can't get in, the nutrition can't get in either. If the cell is congested and the water can't get in, that means the toxins can't get out either. The thing that people love about this is it measures, well, they don't love it the first time. It measures your metabolic age. And what people love is when they come back. Linda, how did that feel when you came back and you were getting younger? Yeah, pretty exciting. And you knew it already because you were looking. What were people saying about how you looked?
That my hair was really shiny, that my skin was kind of glowing. Yeah.
That's exciting, super exciting. So in our first appointment, you're going to have one-on-one time with me. We're going to actually have 2 appointments. In the first, we're going to do health history. We're going to do the tests. You can send me past blood tests if you want me to look at those. Then I'm going to analyze all of your tests. I'm going to come back with you a day or 2 after that. We'll have a second appointment, and I'll let you know the results of the tests, and I'll tell you what kind of program you need so that I can teach you how to get better. That's different from what you've done in the past, isn't it? Something very different. And it equips you so that you can really help yourself to get better. We're going to do all 4 of those tests, and even one of the tests that we do is $3,500. So the value of that first appointment is over $5,500. But in order to find the cause of the problem, really, what's that worth? I mean, it's worth everything, isn't it? To feel better for the rest of your life. That's priceless. For my son, it literally, I believe 100% in my heart, that saved his life. 100%. So right now, you have freedom of choice. You have choice. You can keep on doing what you've been doing, can't you? you've been doing. I look at you as right now as it's like you're at a fork in the road. You can keep doing what you've been doing, keep getting the same results, or you can choose to go a different direction. So imagine if you keep doing what you've been doing. You're going to keep getting what? Same results you've been getting. So imagine a year from now, or 5 years from now, and you keep on getting worse. Who else does that affect? It destroys your life, but who else does it affect? Your caretakers, your family, your children, your friends, your work. I think of it as that song that we sang when we were kids about hiding under a bushel, right? It's like you are that light that God made, and the dysfunction in your body is like that bushel. It's hiding the light that you can be. And I know you can get better. I'm that mama. I'm that mama. I want it for you. I want it for you so bad. But I'm not the one who has to do the work. Who has to do the work? You have to do the work. And tonight, you know things that you didn't know before you came in here. So tonight, you have a different ability. You have an ability to respond differently than you did last night. So it's really kind of a double-edged sword, because you have that responsibility, right? That you might not have had before you came in here. The pain of regret, I think, really is one of the hardest ones. So in the beginning, when I told you that, I asked about cancer, and I had to sit down because my dad had cancer. He had Parkinson's first, and that was his fear. His father had Parkinson's, and he had to change his father's diapers. And he said, he would cry, that would make him cry, saying, I don't want to do that to you. I don't want you, my children, to change my diaper. But then he got cancer. And it was, those of you who have been through it with someone, give me a word for it. Gut-wrenching, it is. What else? Another word. Devastating. Absolutely. It was a horribly painful way to go for him. And I assure you, he had the pain of regret. That was before I was a healthcare practitioner. I did spend a little time on the internet, but oh my goodness. To say, how do you naturally get rid of esophageal cancer? I mean, that it was too late. It was too late for him. And after he died and we started going through some of his books, he listened to a radio show every week about natural healing. He had books about natural healing. He was a scientist. He would have given anything to have gone back in time so that he could invent what happened to him. The pain of regret is one of the worst ones. I don't have to read that for you. It speaks for itself. So, that fork in the road, you can choose a different direction. These are the kids of one of my clients. Misty came to me because she was sick. She just had, her hormones were awful. She felt horrible all the time. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't think straight. She was trying to take care of her 3 kids and couldn't be a good mother to me. She couldn't be the wife that her husband deserved, the wife that she wanted to be, because she was so sick. So I started working with her for a few months. I'm going to give you one example. She had 3 kids. She did not want another child. They had had mold in their house. Her husband was in Virginia selling the house. She brought her 3 kids to Texas in an RV to get rid of the mold in the house. I'm like, you know what? That's a little extreme. But so she did that. She didn't care about having kids. We did not talk about her the fact that she had not had a period for months. She didn't care, right? She was probably kind of glad she wasn't having a period. Within about 3 months, she started having regular menstrual cycles with no pain. Is that incredible? We weren't trying to make that happen. All we were doing is removing the interference and let the body do the healing. And it is a beautiful thing to watch the body do the healing. It is so powerful. And then I started working with her 3 children also. So we've affected their whole family. We are making changes generationally because those little girls, they're gonna have healthy babies. Because they're not gonna have those poisons in their body that I had in my body when I had children. Mercury, lime, lead in my body that I gave to my children because I didn't know any better. So you have a piece of paper so that you can make an appointment with us, your first appointment. You can fill out your name, address, phone number, but we have a special. I want to make it as easy as possible for all of you to move forward with us. I believe that you can have whatever you want, whenever you want it, when you want it strongly. Do you believe that? Has any of you ever experienced that? You wanted something really strongly and you moved heaven and earth to make it happen. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah? So you know that that's true. It can happen. So we give you a discount so that we can make it as easy as possible. And to reward you for being here tonight, for investing your time. The regular price of the first appointment is $594. We're going to discount that. So on your piece of paper, I want you to get out the paper and write in that green box, $297. And remember what we said on that other slide, the value of your time, my time with you and your appointments, and the value of those tests, easily over $5,000. For me, for my son, the value of knowing that mold and lead and mercury were causing the problem, priceless, literally priceless for my whole family of 5, multiple times over.
Does that include the testing?
It includes the testing, yes. So that's your 2 appointments with me, all of the testings. I'm going to report the results of the tests. I'm going to give you a strategy for you to use. So that you'll know what it's going to take for you to get better. Kind of like when you go to college and you get that degree plan. That's what you're going to get also. Now your questions will be answered in the appointment. Sometimes people at the end of the talk, they want to come and tell me their own personal private story. This is not the time for that for 2 reasons. Number one, it's your private story. We need privacy for us to talk about your specific situation. And number 2, you deserve my quality time, one-on-one time with you. So all of those questions that you have, we'll answer those in your appointment. And this really, I think, is the most powerful slide. This is the most important thing. Why do you want to get better? It's a crazy question, isn't it? Well, of course I want to feel better, but why? What's your purpose? That's one of the things I'm going to ask you in our appointments. 20, 30 years from now, what do you want your life to be like? I want to be healthy so that I can keep on doing this job. I don't plan to retire and sit around and do nothing. I do want to retire part-time and travel. Who else wants to travel in retirement, right? I had a client who, she said she retired, she bought an RV because she had to take the toilet with her. Because she had diarrhea all day, every day. Within 2 months, she was having normal bowel function. Did that change her life? Completely changed her life, absolutely. So that's a question for you to think about. Why are you here? What's your purpose? What's it worth for you to get better? That's my purpose, my kids and my grandkids. I will do whatever it takes. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. My father-in-law and my stepfather both had Parkinson's. My mother-in-law is sick. She sits in a chair all day, every day. I will do whatever it takes not to be there so that I can be active in my grandkids' lives. So some of you are ready right now. You can get up right now, walk to the back, take your form to Linda. On the wall, we have cards for our appointments for the next few days. So you can grab that appointment time that works for you, take it to Linda, and she'll finish the paperwork for you. So if you're ready, some of you right now know that you're ready. You can go do that right now. Some of you may still be thinking, so you can start filling out your paperwork. My stepdad would have done anything to go back in time. I'm going to share with you another story that a friend of mine, Roberto, shared with me. They had a tradition in their family. On the father's birthday, everybody would come together and they would write down the things that they wanted to do during the next year. So they were dreaming and planning. It's a pretty cool way for him to teach his family to set goals, right? And to dream about what their life, the impact their life is going to have on somebody else. So one year they had his birthday party, and there was one thing on his list. there's only one thing that you care about, right? It affects everything. So I'll challenge you tonight to know you are worth it. You can get that. Live full. And there's a list of our appointments. So I want everybody to stand up. I applaud you for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. And you can grab it at the time and take it to one in the back. Thank you.
Don't see anybody, and I'm not really realize it. I did. Debbie Jones, Alex.
Nice to meet you, man.
I still get one of the mom's things, about 2 years ago. I have not, but a lot of what she talked about, I feel like I take a day more working down, so. I mean, especially if it's something that drives, so, impacts our life greatly. But, it lines up a lot with some of the stuff that I have learned from I get neurologists I'm a nearly 30-year on that station. So I've had, up, down, severe stuff at times. But, so yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I did not have these tests though. But it's interesting, Dr. Mary Ann's worked with our son when he was younger. I got her approval last year and a half. Well, back to you, that's in speaking, I was like, I am so unable to speak right now. Because I have like major brain fog. It's kind of like I'm in access to my prefrontal cortex. I just do not so after crashing like that in the fall, and so on my medication, and I have to I keep firing doctors. You know, it's just like I am not doing those drugs anymore. So I ended up going to Dr. Block, and she said, your blood test was showing thyroid. She just said, what this was? She said, yeah, like 30 out of 40 symptoms. And so she put me on that. We would be great fun, I guess. But we were like going to the, no, like this is the group, that's the group. But so anyway, I think what was doing, start out in the medical, I know I'm running to 3. Yeah. What is your energy level? I own the business, so what I'm doing to keep it it's like I've got a couple of, I'm just, are you going to
Yeah, I mean,
it's like y'all probably like me, and I entered that way, but it sounds like it goes farther back to what?
Well, I know that the way to deal with that is not, but go
Yeah, and so I'm doing it all. I would do that, and I would do this one. Now, I know I did that and reduce it. But, God has a place in cellular for like breathing and regeneration, but I don't have what they're about to work. I do this, and that's my real estate part, and then I work on the so that just happens every time I work. But it's hard, you know. Everybody's doing it. But it's good, and so that's one thing I know he does. Men are very much, especially with diet changes, when it comes to men. So I could just Google You can ask them. Yeah. And it's hydrogen, especially in the hydrogen indicator of how your cells are functioning, which most of those things is needed for brands. And there's a brand, consumer brand, and then they have one that you put your handles. It's a little thing and you hold it, which most fitness centers have it. And you hold it out straight, and there's something about holding your arm straight, and it does like fly and stand stuff like that.
And that's
They are in order first. California next month or something, you know. Like, get out of bed. I had kids at home.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm not having you where I'm like, you know, it's like,
most reasonable is
Like for your empty
model target, you know, where everybody's thyroid is normal ranges. She was receptive to that, and so I mean, she very happy. Like he more holistic
Yeah, he
and
draws to
everything,
make sure that you
that I got
understand
through
what
a
teachers are
Facebook
doing, you know,
page, and I've
like
been really
he
impressed with
said the
him
other day,
because
but
he's not just throwing things at me. He's very smart.
It is.
Well, that, I,
He's
that was
checking
honestly,
my,
yeah.
amazing, he knows what I've been through, and he knows my medical background, so.
Right. Yes.
No, I honestly really don't do it most
Right.
of the don't. I've gone to functional medicine, doctors, and things like that in the last 5 years. I don't know what that is, but yeah, middle name is
She said you probably had dog over 10 years before.
He is, because I like, you know, like, I don't want a dog.
And it's 17 years ago. So she's
One of my own right now.
And it's 27.
I was on RT3 for a while. He's like, no, you don't need to be on.
You did have one.
So I've been doing good since I've been seeing him. But when you can start me on stuff for like